Hi everyone, this is Laura. Welcome to my video blog series Beyond the Basics, covering your intuitive practice and how to cultivate that practice with the tarot and with other means of intuition. And we're going to be talking about intuition, energy work, and the tarot in this series and your journey with them as it evolves. And I'm just kind of going to use this series every week to kind of keep you updated on the goings on in my world and things that I'm noticing that might be helpful to you as developing readers and intuitives yourselves. Because we all are, and I think actually that's a good point for me to start off with. We really are all intuitive people, and that is something that I consider to be so basic in my world, where I do a large portion of my day as an intuitive, and that's what I get paid to do. Give people readings, energy work, suggestions, etc., etc. But I've noticed that in the past, people have really seen an intuitive practice as something reserved for people with special psychic powers, people with different abilities than most of us have. And there are amazing people who have exceptional psychic abilities in the world, of course, but our intuition is a sense that most of us have, just like our eyesight, our hearing, our sense of touch, our sense of smell and taste. In many senses, of course, intuition is sometimes called the sixth sense, and it's something that we all have. And it's available to all of us because we all have it. The only real discernment that you're probably going to make for yourself is if you choose to cultivate your intuitive practice. What you're doing essentially is going to your intuition gym every day. It's like lifting weights or something. As you do an activity repetitively, like any sort of practice, you strengthen, you build something by doing that practice. By doing a yoga practice, you build your connection to the divine. The entire word yoga means yoking, right? Yuj in Sanskrit. And so that connection to the divine is really what we cultivate in a yoga practice. In a gym, we cultivate biceps and triceps by lifting kettlebells and barbells and things, right? Same thing, but we're growing a muscle in a gym. And in an intuitive practice, in a lot of senses, you are growing your intuition. Everyone has an intuition, but you get to grow and develop your intuition if you choose to cultivate it with an intuitive practice, which is something I highly recommend everyone do for themselves. Not necessarily to negate the value of going and getting an intuitive reading from someone else, because that's incredibly valuable. Even if you're an incredibly intuitive person yourself and you know it and you help yourself out all the time, it can still be really neat to check in with someone else's intuition, because if not only because of our interpretation of what we are getting in our readings, which is going to differ a lot person to person, because we all have different little biases that we bring to a reading, and I use the word bias very intentionally. Well, this week in my blog, what you'll see is an article. I've actually titled it Part 1, same title as the YouTube series that I'm doing, Beyond the Basics, Cultivating Your Intuitive Practice with the Tarot. What I start out exploring this week for you, I just want to have a quick look at. Begin by noticing what you notice. And this is a quote from Laura Day's book, Practical Intuition for Success, which is, I've got a very well-worn copy of this book at the moment, and I'm not sure of the date on it, but it's Harper is the publisher, division of HarperCollins, originally had the publishing rights to Practical Intuition for Success. It is a gem. I highly recommend you pick it up. Publishing date seems to be 1997. So this is a book that's almost 20 years old right now. It came out right around the same time that I first began my tarot intuitive practice, because I learned tarot in 96 or 97, I think. But in there, that is actually my best advice for building an intuitive practice. Rather than going into an intuitive practice every day, if you choose, for instance, to, I'll just pick up a deck of tarot cards to illustrate this point for you really quickly. When you're doing video series on a deck with a nice little breeze, by the way, I've been using paperweights. Like this is a beautiful red rocks from a vortex site in Sedona, and it's got a big quartz crystal in the middle of it, and it's been holding my Circle of Life tarot deck on the deck, away from the wind for me today. But back to my point, and this is the Circle of Life tarot I'm going to use to illustrate this point for you. When you come to the tarot every day as a practice, it's a little different from coming to the tarot for a very meaningful one-time reading. For one thing, you know that you'll be back again tomorrow doing your tarot practice, and the next day, regardless of what your life brings. You kind of make that commitment to yourself. So you're not doing the reading so much with a goal in mind, like I have to get this answer sort of thing. Like we often give ourselves readings for things that we really, really need closure or an answer or some help in, right? And there's usually a decision involved, or we feel like we need some direction. You sit down at a daily tarot practice without that. In fact, you try to distance yourself from that at first, at least for the first part of the practice. And what you do is you simply open to your intuition. There's some energy work practices that we're going to be doing in the chakra life system to help develop that coming into your intuitive sense in your third eye center, in your third eye chakra, in an energetic way. We're going to be doing some actual energy work exercises for that. If that sounds interesting to anyone, I highly recommend you check out the Chakra Intuition System and Chakra Life System courses. You'll probably see links for them on this page somewhere. But for instance, you just choose a card with an absolutely blank intention. So I have just chosen the Knight of Chalices, which in this deck, the Circle of Life Tarot, is this figure riding on the back of a turtle or tortoise, it actually looks like to me. I don't know whether you can see that. But the Knight of Chalices card, let's have a look at that. And without all of those questions hanging in our energetic sphere, waiting to be answered, instead, what you may have done is like a meditative practice almost, where you completely clear the slate. You completely just go into this with a blank slate. No expectations, nothing that you're looking for. And you look at the picture. And with that detachment, then you can ask yourself, okay, what do I notice? Well, first of all, I have to say, my eyes are drawing on a few things. My eyes are drawing particularly on the little pail of water that this girl is emptying over the tortoise. But it seems to be sort of a helpful emptying. She doesn't seem to be doing it in spite or in jest or anything like that. She's there in a way loving the tortoise, right? And this is the Knight of Chalices card. Well, what is interesting when you put the knowledge of the Knight of Chalices, and you may have a knowledge of what the Knight of Chalices card coming up in this deck is supposed to mean. And we cover a lot of that in Tarot for Beginners, by the way, if anyone's interested in that. I certainly am. The correlation between symbols and what humans have decided those symbols mean can be a personal study, as well as a study of collective unconscious theory, sort of like maybe Carl Jung would have taught. But, beyond that, beyond knowing what a knight is really all about in the tarot and what the suit of chalices is all about, what we have here is an image of a befriending between a humanoid figure and a turtle. And the energy here is of this figure, looking after the natural world, sort of, the word might be cultivating, like a friendship, just like cultivating a practice. And this is done lovingly and patiently. It doesn't look hurried, but it looks like there's a true befriending that has happened. Now, I can bring that information that was just more about what I saw in the card rather than the definition or meaning of what a knight is and what a meaning of a chalice is. I can bring my first observations from that very unclouded space into whatever I could check in with about what this might mean in my life. So now what you want to do from that noticing what you notice position is then later on you want to start asking a question, a very pointed, concise question, if you're good at this. And this is how this question arises. We make an observation, we're tapped into our intuition, and rather than coming into that going, okay, come on now, I have a definite question, what we say after we do the observance here is, what is the question? And very often, I will get a question in that moment from one of my energy centers. And I can tell that this question is coming from my solar plexus area. And that's as it should be, because in the Chakra Life System course right now, and with the Chakra Intuition System's current Readers Circle members in my Mastery Circle, we're actually exploring the solar plexus this week. We're doing intuitive readings for the solar plexus. In fact, really quickly, I'll show you the slide of a solar plexus general reading. Here it is, that we've been working with this week in those groups. And it has the 10 vibrations of the solar plexus listed as things that you can kind of draw cards on. Some of these are archetypes, some of them are vibrations. The vibrational names you'll see on this card are a little easier to know and decipher what's going on with without taking the course. The archetypal names a little more involved. But it's interesting that the solar plexus here is lighting up for me while I'm looking at this card. Because the first question that is really coming in, and it's like the solar plexus lights up and it's like that area is sort of feeding me this question, I would say, here's how I would phrase the question that is coming in. It's coming in as, what area of your life will a true befriending give you more confidence in? And I know that that question is for myself right now, but what I find when I do video series and class series like this is very often what I come up with there can be profoundly relevant for people listening as well. And I'm not sure exactly how that works, but it's some sort of group intuitive vibrational effect. My friend Lynn McKenzie puts it this way. She says, vibration influences and can carry through space and time. And what can happen when you get a question in is, it's like you already know vibrationally, in a sense, who's going to watch this video. And so the question is already connected to them and the question comes to you, rather than me having a question and then connecting it out so much. That's just one of the amazing things I find about groups in readings. But be that all as it may, what I wanted to get across to you was, in a tarot practice, the first thing you do after you kind of open up and you clean the slate of all of your attachments and questions personally, then you draw a card. And then sometimes you can formulate a question off whatever you're observing and whatever you know that seems to come to you. And you'll get a sense of the chakra center that's lighting up sometimes if you've worked with a system like the Chakra Intuition System or the Chakra Life System. You'll get a sense of which centers are lighting up. Now you have some information. Now you have actually had an intuitive hit. Now it's interesting because a lot of people will work this process kind of in reverse, and that can work very well too. And I find the stronger of an intuitive practice you build for yourself, when you get a more pointed intuitive reading to do, where someone is actually submitting a question to you, or for yourself, you really have something you need some guidance about, and you sit down intentionally and do a reading. It's almost vice versa, what I just said. Like, you get asked a question, and then, you may get a sense of an answer to that question when you draw the cards. But that works too. But what I find, and it's almost like if you can think of making intuitive inroads into the energy system, the subtle body energy system, and the synapses of the brain, and everything that you can envision about, you can envision little antennae, energetic antennae, kind of reaching out from your vibrational field to all of the vibrational fields that you're connected to, in some sense, in the universe, right? Well, who's giving who information? It goes back and forth, right? Everything's a mirror to everything else. So it works both ways. But what I find is this is so much about receiving information and giving out vibration, and then the information can kind of only come in on the right vibrations. That really and truly, the more you practice reaching the right vibrations out with this little practice I'm suggesting you could do every morning, just drawing a card, but being kind of open, and then noticing what you notice, and then allowing a question unattached. You do that process enough, and what you're actually training yourself to do is to be a receptor. It's like your energetic receptor sites for information open up when you do this practice, which is an amazing feeling. And then when you sit down to sort of empower a reading through the other way, to come back with a reading, that reading is 10 times more powerful than it had you not done the intuitive practice in the first place. That's what it often feels like. So I highly recommend that most of my students, whether you're in one of my courses officially right now or not, just simply begin an intuitive practice. Cultivate an intuitive practice by observing what you see. If you have a deck of tarot cards or an oracle deck that you've been willing to, cough up the money to have in your life and in your house, but you don't have the confidence to start reading with the deck yet, it's usually because you've told yourself a story that, well, you haven't gone through a full course yet, so you don't know what you're doing, and whatever that is for you. It's a story. My best advice to you is open up the deck. Have a personal experience of the deck yourself. Cultivate a personal practice. You can journal, you can write notes about what you found out after your personal practice every day. Close it with a gratitude blessing. Open it with a prayer for presence and connection of some sort, whatever your practice is. If you'd like to take this work further into a more rigorous and detailed unpacking of all of the vibrations that reside in all of the chakra fields, you may want to check out the package I have this week for the Chakra Intuition System and Chakra Life System. We've got them in a bundle this week for you, along with Tarot for Beginners, which as a set is a really interesting set of courses to take together. So if you go ahead and grab that package, just so you know, all of this becomes available to you. All of those courses, Chakra Life System, where to the solar plexus, so meaning that we've got all of the vibrations and the vibrational activations and connections for all of the vibrations of the sacral chakra and the root chakra and the solar plexus center up and recorded for you already. And you get the entire Chakra Intuition System course, which gives you intuitive readings for each of the vibrations in each of the chakras. So there's something like almost 80 total vibrational readings that you can bring through with an intuitive system like the tarot or anything you want to use. and that's going to help you actually do very specific intuitive readings for each of these energy vibrations. I highly recommend those courses whether you're interested in tarot or not, because what it teaches you energetically is it gives you a system that you can work with to have a direct experience of what certain parts of your vibrational subtle body energy feel like to you, and you cultivate an awareness. You can integrate these systems into a personal practice as you go through and learn tarot, or you can choose to learn the tarot or not, but you have the Tarot for Beginners course in this package of courses for you. So you'll see a link for that on the page if you'd like to check it out. And then there's one other thing that I just briefly want to mention that you should also see a way to get to from this page, and that is I have actually just opened a few more spots in my mastery circle, which is something I haven't done since January or February, I think. So I wanted to just give you a little bit more information on those available spots in the mastery circle. And so you'll see a way to click through and have a look at the mastery circle opportunity if you're interested in immersing in a real study of mastery for your intuition and for the tarot, and also for your energy body and how it plays in. The mastery year that I've set out for my Mastery Circle members it's a monthly membership. With your enrollment, you actually get membership that gives you instant access to 5 or 6 different of our courses. If I remember correctly, courses that include Chakra Intuition System and Tarot for Beginners, but there's 4 more advanced courses included too, which include the newly recording Mythic Manifesting series of courses, which goes into empowering with your energy body and your intuition and your skills as an intuitive energy worker to actually go and manifest what you want to create as your life experience. And working myth so that your mind vibrations are completely aligned with sort of soul purpose, and it's a course that brings all of that together in a very powerful way. We're just starting to record Mythic Manifesting, sort of in the middle of Chakra Life System and the outbuild of Chakra Intuition System right now in the group. We also have Advanced Tarot 203 recording soon, which is a really in-depth, beautiful exploration of the archetypes of the major arcana of the tarot. And then it's going to go into really immersive studies of things like the court cards, and certain pairings of cards, and certain cross-sums of cards, and certain symbols that you'll see come up over and over in the tarot, and all of the backstory and rich history of the art and just the magic of the tarot is going to be in Advanced Tarot 203. You right now get access to Healing with the Archetypes, and Advanced Tarot 201 is there for you as well. And then you're also going to receive Tarot for Career and Business as instant access when you come on board in the Mastery Circle today. And you're also going to receive a special practice group that we're actually going to be doing a lot more work like this in the circle when you join us. But there's a course in there that I'd love you to check out, which focuses just on one very special intuitive spread called the Celtic Cross Spread. And the Celtic Cross Spread is over 400 years old that we know. It's the earliest spread that any tarot reader or tarot expert has ever seen. And the earliest known Celtic cross spread we know for a fact was being used by readers in Ireland 400 years ago. Very different story from where the tarot as a whole came from. It's a very interesting, deep story. But I took the Celtic cross spread because it really is one of the most basic, I would say, recommended spreads. I use it a lot even today as a reader of 2 decades. The Celtic cross spread is it's a really solid spread to get a handle on how to read for yourself. And I think that was so important to me when I filmed this series. What I did is I enrolled some students to go through this course and simply submit reading requests to me every week. And then every week I would get on, I would record. And what you've ended up with is examples of real life Celtic cross readings with the tarot being done by me. 7 weeks of workshops, 7 separate workshops, and they're all a couple of hours in length. So you get the most in-depth, hands-on study of how to read the Celtic cross spread with tarot cards that I could give you. I devoted a full 12 to 14 hours just to that one spread, which in retrospect seems like I probably like that spread a lot, like I'm just looking at what I've chosen to teach over the years. But I'm giving you all of those courses. They're just all in there for you when you join the Reader's Circle today, the Mastery Circle. And we're going to be doing more. We're going to be doing more courses in that format, and what you get instantly when you join is a private network that gives you access to all of those courses instantly. But also in that private network you will find forums to join. You will find ways to view trainings and lessons and then start a thread of conversation with me, with your fellow students, and we'll all get on there and have group discussions in our private social network together. And then every month what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through new courses and redoing some of the older courses as well, so that you actually have a chance to involve yourself in a live sense as a student. You'll get to type me questions, and there'll be a weekly focus and a weekly masterclass that you'll have access to. All of these classes will be in the group for life for you, so they're never going away. And so even just those courses alone, those 6 courses I put in this package, are worth over $2,000 if you break down, what you would be paying for them all individually. But you can actually get in as one of the first 50 into the Mastery Circle today, get instant access to those courses and all of the Circle's benefits and upcoming everything that we're going to be doing together in the group for just $47 a month. So all you're paying today for over $2,000 worth of courses here is $47. And that gets you into the forums, it gets you into the live sessions, it gets you the weekly mastery classes. It gets you the chance, if you want to go onto these courses and meet other students, other people who are playing with their intuition and playing with being an intuitive reader this year. And you can simply start a chat with people, and I'm going to set up some groups for you guys to connect through as well for various themes of readings. And you could even arrange to kind of meet each other virtually in the group and do practice readings for each other. So it's a tremendously valuable group that I think is going to provide the gift of community for the Mastery Circle members. And that is kind of new for the Mastery Circle. The Mastery Circle that we formed back in January and February, they've been going through coursework, they've been getting readings from me as the year goes on. But they have just come in to this new private social network format where they can start talking to each other as well. So I'm super excited to open up the group to some new members at this point. That opportunity is there for you too. So those are the 2 offers. If you want to, you can look for either of those. You'll find links to those on the page. If you're not currently subscribed to my email list, I am going to be putting a little chatty training or video like this out once or twice a week. And you'll receive links to them via email if you sign up to be on the email list. So I highly recommend doing that because we're going to be doing a lot right here in this video blog series that will help you develop an intuitive practice and a reading practice as we explore more and more together. So I'd love to have you as a subscriber too. Thanks so much for joining me today and listening to my very first video. Glad the weather held out. I'm thinking this deck is a pretty good place to do these from every day. And I'll see you next time.